Why are corporate meetings still so boring? This is a real problem that goes back before the pandemic. In fact, the pandemic made it worse because too many people thought that they could just take whatever it is that they used to do in person and plop it on a Zoom meeting and it would be okay. No, it's not okay. It made boring meetings even worse. My intention in this video is to give you quick tips on how you can keep your virtual audience's attention from beginning to end so that you both can feel like your meeting was a good use of each other's time. Now, if you want to hurry up and get to the point of this video without actually watching the video, even though you clicked on it, the short answer is your content has to be valuable and captivating enough to keep them interested from beginning to end. The key word here is value. Your content has to have enough value for them to want to listen to you from beginning to end. That's the short answer. But if you stick around, I'm going to give you some helpful tips. So let's jump right in. The first and most easy thing for you to do to get attention in your virtual presentations is to stand up. It's very subtle. Some people may not notice it at first, but when you're standing up, you give a bigger presence. You command a little bit more energy. You also give more energy. So that is the first and easiest way to capture attention in your virtual meetings. Stand up. The second thing you want to do is create a shared experience. You want to get your attendees to connect with you, connect with the purpose of the meeting before you start with the topic. You have to remember that while everyone is in the Zoom meeting with you, they're all over the place. They can be all over the country or in multiple countries for that matter. They have different things going on and different distractions around them. So your next goal is to create a shared experience so that they can connect with each other and the purpose of the meeting before you get into the meat of it. They're not gonna, fully be into it unless they feel like they're into it. Now, one way to do this is to get them active. For example, ask them maybe to turn off their cameras for a moment. Have them turn off their cameras and imagine. Imagine, think of the worst Zoom meeting they've been to in a while. Whether it was someone who fell asleep and it was snoring, they heard a toilet flush, somebody's dog was going nuts, or the doorbell, or that god-awful smoke detector that's in someone's background that they won't turn off. Or maybe the meeting was just too darn long. Now ask them to think about that and just kind of bring themselves back to that moment, and then tell them to pop the camera back on and look at everyone's facial expressions. Have them look at each other's facial expressions because they'll all be able to relate to this moment. Now you want to take that and maybe bring them to a positive place. Have them say, imagine that this meeting that they're in right now is the last one before they go on a fantastic vacation. And if they can imagine where they're going, why they're so excited about it, and that all they need to do to make this meeting successful is to contribute their ideas, right? Because you're meeting for a reason, and the reason is to solve a problem, come up with ideas, or something of that nature. The point of this experience, and it really doesn't have to take long, is to break the ice, to get people on the same page, to get them focused on the purpose and the outcome of your meeting. Next, I know some people are not going to want to hear this, but honestly, you need a little entertainment. You have to remember that people are joining your meeting from the same device that they watch TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, Twitter. They have all these other things that they do on this device that you're now asking them to focus on. So you have to be entertaining. Now, keep in mind, when I say entertaining, I don't mean you have to be all over the place and super animated. I mean you need to keep it visually interesting. You need to have some other elements so that it isn't just a talking head the entire time. So whether that's changing camera angles, using sound strategically, using picture-in-picture, maybe some whiteboard animation, any of those things will entertain and at least switch up the view for your audience to keep them wondering what's next. You got to keep the mind active. You know what I'm saying? Now, before we move on to the next tip, I just want to take a quick moment to say, if you are interested in an end-to-end comprehensive class on virtual presentation skills, I encourage you to check out my Virtual Presentation Skills Masterclass. You can find out more about it on phenomenalvoices.com. Now, in this class, I go over everything from how to overcome low attention spans to cultural competency, communicating in the future with VR technology. It's the gamut. Everything, storytelling, structure, everything you can think of is in this class. Check it out at phenomenalvoices.com. Now, let's move on. The next tip is to be yourself. Be authentic. In a world full of filters and all kinds of stuff, like, people are craving authenticity. So what that means is, if you're not super animated or over the top, then don't try to be at your next big presentation. If you're not comfortable being funny in that kind of setting, then don't try to be. Just be yourself, because who you are is enough. And that will, translate to your audience that you're not trying too hard. But do give them some energy. Do give them your passion for this topic, whatever that topic may be. Be Be confident, speak with passion, tell them great stories and back those stories up with statistics. That's all you need to do. The next thing is to know your content. Get to the point, get to it fast. If you have a presentation that's scheduled for 30 minutes, if you can go through your content and cut the fluff and cut it down to 25 or 20, that's perfect. I very rarely hear anybody say that a meeting was too short. What's more important than trying to fill up the entire time slot that you have is to ask yourself, did they learn something? Were they engaged? Do they know what to do next? Was I clear? Was there a sense of camaraderie? Was the meeting a success by those barometers? And that's really what matters more than you filling this, this arbitrary time slot. Now, the next thing is crucial. You want to be in tune with your audience. You want to be present. This goes back to knowing your content really, really well. You want to be present enough to recognize when things are not going well despite your efforts. And it's okay in these instances to stop and actually just ask your audience and say, hey, I noticed the energy is kind of going down a little bit. I'm hopefully covering everything that you need to hear, but is there something that I'm missing? Is there something that I can do to re-energize the group? And just see what happens. I know when I've taught half-day workshops and long things, I often get people to stand up and stretch and do all kinds of things to just break it up. It may be as simple as that, or it may be that there was some announcement or something else that was on their mind that you were not privy to. So stop and ask and pivot if you need to. You can pivot exceptionally well if you know your content through and through, and then you can kind of get back on track. And if it's still kind of crickety and people don't want to say anything, maybe encourage them to put it in the chat box if they don't want to speak up. You just say, I want to be respectful of your time, but I also want to make sure you're getting value out of this. So if there's something that I'm missing here, please let me know and I'll correct it immediately. So those are some quick tips on how to keep people engaged in your meeting from beginning to end, your virtual meeting, offline too, but specifically for virtual. If you have found this video helpful, please hit the like button down below. Please also subscribe to my channel. It is a free way to support. If you don't know what to say in the comments, just say hi. Tell me what you had for dinner. Anything. Just leave a comment for the algorithm, and that will help me help you by bringing more tips every week. That's all I've got for now. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search for my name, Cheril Clarke, and I'll be happy to connect. I'll see you next time.